Take a picture, show us your children.
All right, Matt, thank you. I'll call to order the planning board zoning board of adjustment meeting for Flemington Borough, Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. Please, I'll do the, hold on. I've got an interesting OPMA statement. This in-person and virtual meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Both adequate and electronic notice of this in-person and virtual meeting has been provided as required
By the Municipal Land Use Law and
By-
the Public Meetings Act.
by the Municipal Land Use Law and the Open Public Meetings Act. In addition, notice of the meeting was posted on the door of the Borough of Flemington Municipal Building located at 38 Park Avenue and any handicapped accessible entrances thereto, posted on the municipal website, provided to the municipal clerk and distributed to all persons if any requesting copies of the same. This meeting is being recorded with both audio and video and may be rebroadcast. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to judicial hearings be maintained at all times. Please rise as you are able for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Roll call. So I did,
Mayor Carroll.
Here.
Council Vice President Engelhardt.
Here.
Mr. Campion.
Here.
Ms. Giffen.
here.
Ms. Weitzman.
Here.
Ms. Fingal.
Here.
Mr. Show.
Here.
Mr. Schlanger.
Here.
Mr. Dashna.
Here.
Mr. Eckel.
Here.
Mr. Hain.
Here.
Mr. Pavers.
Here.
Tony Kaczynski here. Engineer Clerico's excuse. Planner Kyle.
Here.
And Engineer Troutman is excused.
Thank you. All right, item 1 is a period for public comments. This is for any items not currently on the agenda. There's nobody here in person, so online we have one attendee. If anybody wants to make a comment on anything not on the agenda, please use the raise hand feature. I'm not seeing anything, so I'm going to move on to mayor comments. Please, item 2.
I don't have any tonight.
Okay. Item 3, council comments.
I don't have any either.
What the?
We had a really short meeting last
I know,
night.
but
It's
it's
real
really-
challenges.
Yeah.
We had a really short meeting last night.
Okay, item 4, HPC comment.
We didn't have a meeting since last one, so I have no comments.
Dennis, can you confirm the date of the house tour?
Yes, it's June 6th, Saturday, June 6th.
Okay.
And then we're hoping to do Sunday, December 6th, excuse me, for the holiday house tour. So
Okay.
Saturday,
Dennis,
June
there's a
6th,
question that came
House
up
and
last
Garden.
night. Sorry. Dennis,
No,
there was a
that's
question that came up last night. When is the house tour tickets going on sale?
Probably March or,
Okay.
later March. That's when we did it last time.
Great, thank you.
All right, item 5 is professional reports. We're missing 2. Do you have a report? Planner Kyle, do you have a report for us today other than other things on the agenda?
I do not.
Excellent. Item 6, approval of the minutes, January 13th, 2026. We got minutes, those were distributed. Anybody got any comments or questions or adjustments on those before we get a motion to approve them? No, then can I get a motion to approve those, please?
Move.
Okay.
Take it.
Aaron Weitzman.
Mayor Carroll.
Yeah.
Council Vice President Engelhardt.
Yes.
Mr. Campion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Weitzman.
Yes.
Ms. Fingal.
Melissa.
6. Ms. Fingal.
You don't have to.
Melissa.
Yes. Maybe? Do you hear me?
Yeah, no, we did it. We can now. Thank you. We hear you now.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Mr. Show.
Yes.
Mr. Slanger,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
Thank you. We've given Cara her own mic now, so she's gonna be loud and proud.
Thank you.
All right, item 7 is resolution PB 2026-06 for Blessed Well, with application 2025-05. So last meeting, sorry, there was just one little adjustment that needed to maybe be resolved now.
Yep, we did resolve it. The board professionals and counsel for the applicant, listened to the, tapes from the last meeting. We circulated the revision, to the conditions.
And what was the answer?
And the answer was that we said, alter the drive aisle between the building and Rayville Avenue to a narrower one-way by expanding the size of the landscape island adjacent to Rayville and adding a landscape island adjacent to the building.
Okay.
That's what we did. Everyone was in agreement on that, along with all the other changes that I placed on the record at the last meeting.
Okay,
So we need a motion and a second, and the people that are ineligible, so Mayor Caro, Ms. Giffen, Mr. Dashna, Ms. Swingle, Ms. Weitzman, and Mr. Slanger are all eligible to motion and second.
I make a motion.
Second.
Okay, that was Justin.
yeah,
Yep.
And Mayor Caro,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
yes,
Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
and Mr. Slanger.
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
all right, perfect, thank you. All right, excitingly, resolution number 8 is resolution PG 2026-07, approving Caitlin Hoy as the permanent planning board secretary. You see, she's not here tonight, she had personal.
last name?
Hoy,
Hoy.
Hoy, how would you pronounce it?
How do you pronounce it last night?
Howie,
Howie.
I think it's Howie. She's the clerk in Califon, where I'm the planner.
Howie,
Okay.
then I apologize, I'm just going off my letters and
That's okay.
I didn't hear her say it out
Hey,
loud.
British.
So Howie,
Aluminium.
yes. Aluminium. All right, anyway, she will be with us at the next meeting, I believe, I'm going to confirm, yes, she will. Okay, I'm gonna say that out loud. And a resolution, was done at council last night, I believe.
Good.
Yeah,
I guess I could have reported on that, sorry.
That's right, doing it now, that's what counts.
Uh-huh.
I
move it.
appreciate, thank you.
I'll second.
Do you have any words?
Alright, so Dashna. And Weitzman. Mayor Caro,
Yes.
Council by Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Giffen,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
and Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
So I look forward to greeting her next meeting and we'll get her on board and get things moving and I'm very excited for that new chapter in our lives.
Please let her know, I know she has experience, which is wonderful, but you know, if she needs anything, give her my cell, give her, you know,
I
email
will
it.
pass that along
Okay.
gladly, because she's gonna need she's very switched on, but she's still gonna need to get up to speed with what we do
Sure.
and the way we do it, absolutely,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, we've added next, number 9 is resolution 2026-08. It's appointing Joseph Sordillo as a conflict counsel for 2026. As we know, one of our current applications, Carl will be conflicted out of, so we will need him for that, so that's why we're appointing him for this point. So any questions on that, or?
This is the person who was the.
Yes.
For the prior for us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's said he is willing to do it for us, and happy to do it. I don't know who else to put on, we need somebody.
Make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Mayor Weitzman. Mayor Caro,
Yes.
Council by Engelhardt,
Abstain.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Giffen,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
and Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so item 10 is a consistency review of Council Ordinance 2026-02, the ordinance establishing section 264 of the Borough of Flemington zoning ordinance entitled Admin and Enforcement. Susan, you want to speak to us on what this is about, and so what or do we need Jim to explain on consistency what we need to do on this?
And Jim, I'll definitely go through consistency. I think they can both speak to it
Sure.
if they want to.
I prefer Jim to take the lead.
Alright.
Frankly. Well, only because
Well, just-
because when I rolled off of parking, that I'm,
Okay, so Jim, would you care to
Yes.
explain what this is and what we need to do about it?
Sure. So which one are we going to talk about first?
The
O2.
O2, the admin and enforcement of.
Oh,
the
two.
zoning
Okay, I got it.
ordinance, isn't it?
So much like we did back in September of last year with the DB, the DB2, the VIS, all that. When council introduces an ordinance that is part of the zoning requirements under the provisions of the municipal land use law, it has to be referred to the planning board to determine if there are any elements of the ordinance that are inconsistent with the master plan. And the finding, if the board agrees, would be that it's not inconsistent with the master plan. It's some strange wording that they have in the MLUL. So this is an ordinance. It is part of the zoning code, but it's really more about administration and enforcement. It sets out enforcement provisions for zoning violations, requirements for zoning permits, certificates of occupancy. It establishes penalties for violations and talks about records that the zoning officer needs to maintain. Essentially, this is a pretty common aspect of most elements, and the enforcement mechanism in these components is good because it gives it some teeth, for zoning scofflaws that we have to go after. So as I review this, I don't believe there are any provisions here that are inconsistent with the master plan. This is not something that's really addressed in the 2022 master plan. So I think this one's fairly simple on its face in that it's not addressed directly. However, I don't find that there are any provisions here that will be consistent with any of the policies in our master plan.
if you want me to add, this was initiated originally earlier last year by Dave Giuliani, our code enforcement officer.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we're having trouble with is when he's trying to enforce some of our zoning code, the courts are kicking it back. And so we're spending a lot of time and frankly money going after certain elements of the code that are not, the wording is not clear. We've actually had Chris Corsini, our attorney, work on massaging it a bit, and we changed that. That didn't help. So we asked him to kind of go about it a different way and apply this ordinance versus that ordinance. That didn't help. So we think after, correct me if I'm wrong, Marcia, but we think after kind of reviewing all of this, this is going to allow Dave, well, now Chris, because Dave is recovering from surgery today, so we wish him well, but allow the code enforcement officer to be able to hold people accountable to your zoning ordinance.
So is it that we didn't have any enforcement things, or
No,
we just
it wasn't-
spread it on
no.
places, so we've.
It wasn't
brought it
specific.
together.
Yeah.
The courts wanted specificity
Mhm.
Right.
on finding.
He was referring to an overall number, and the courts kept kicking it back, saying, no, it's
Right.
gotta be more than that. So this allows that detail that the courts so we can enforce one part of the code, but we couldn't enforce the zoning. It kept getting kicked out. So this way,
Right.
it's a little more detailed, and he can identify on the ticket or the fine a specific zoning ordinance number. So
Right.
is it related to it lives in the planning, like it lives in the part of the code that this board oversees, but is it related directly to the master plan. It's on the, you know, on the edges,
Right,
so.
well, yeah, but in like you say, as the way that it allows our offices to enforce what resolutions we have put forward.
yeah,
Agreements put
exactly.
forward
Mhm.
through being compared to the master plan.
Right.
It all
You have that
all under
goal.
the umbrella.
Right. You have the intention and the goal to, when you're putting something in a resolution, you know, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. And then and we want that enforced, but if the law is kicking it back, we're not actually seeing through you know, the council's not seeing through your wishes,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, and this has been prepared by the council's planner and it's gone through council's.
No, this was, no,
No?
this
No.
was prepared by council.
Oh, okay, all right,
It was reviewed by Dave Giuliani.
Yep.
It was reviewed by our fire marshal. It was reviewed by our construction code official. And it was reviewed by our planner here. So, but it was written and produced by our attorney's office.
okay. All right, does anybody else have other questions on this? For Kyle, you can answer, or Susan can answer about whether we have concerns about it. I feel that this is what's gonna help that office, then we don't wanna stand in their way, man.
So typically, as Jim said, he's found that he's recommending to the board that this ordinance is not substantially inconsistent with your master plan. You're also allowed to make any recommendations back to council for when they do their public hearing on this. We will do an ordinance based upon a resolution based upon your vote for the next meeting. But just let me know if there are any recommendations that you want to include in that. Otherwise, we'll just do the resolution adopting tonight's vote, finding that it's not substantially inconsistent.
My only question, and maybe this has come up when you discussed it in council too, I don't know, the fine amount, is that a standard amount on these, the boilerplate, or? Because it doesn't seem to be that if he's spending money and time, that doesn't really
This-
cover that
The
time.
attorney that promulgated this on behalf of our municipal attorney's office. Is also a municipal and planning board attorney in other jurisdictions.
Mhm.
And this is similar or put together even better. He took the best of the best because
Right.
he was able to do it for us and not inherit it. And it is pretty much standard fine amount and up to amount. That is typical without being considered usury by the courts. So, and that fine can be levied every day, so it's up to 500
And
a
for each violation.
right?
Right,
Yes.
So these things can stack.
So it's not like
Yes,
500
it doesn't,
is the
it doesn't
max
sound like
budget,
a lot,
right,
it can be a lot.
okay,
Which was the case with the old, that was Dave's intention with the old system as well. He, you know, he did the fine and pointed to the other overall number. And then stacked them and presented that to court as well, but it just kept getting kicked back. This way, hopefully those stacked fines will hold.
Can I ask, just, I have no problems with this, just what's the volume of problems? Like how often was it running into
So
this?
all the time,
Yeah.
all the time. So,
I don't
you know,
think we can talk about specific locations.
That's why I'm not asking a
Yeah.
location.
No, but
I'm asking.
there are chronic concerns. Well, I'll mention one publicly, turntable production.
Junction.
That one's been in and out of court over and over and over. I think the judge and the owner just came to some kind of terms 2 weeks ago on fixing roofs. But it's constant, and he doesn't take it seriously.
Other fines that we put against them have gone through, because it's not related to zoning. So it's only the zoning ones that are being kicked out.
Right.
Gotcha, okay,
because we don't have something.
because we need
Yeah,
this,
right,
makes
yes.
sense.
Okay,
Then I will move that we find this ordinance not inconsistent with the master plan,
And
without any recommendations to the governing body.
Second,
I'll second.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Council Vice Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
yes,
Giffen,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
yes,
Mr. Show,
yes,
Mr. Schlanger,
yes.
and Mr. Dosh.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you, everyone.
All right, let's move on to item 11, which is a similar thing. This is a consistency review for ordinance 2026-03, which is the ordinance amending chapter 12, land development definitions, and chapter 26 of the zoning of the borough code, and this is related to parking spaces, right?
Right, this is related to, parking in, oh my God, I just blanked on my word. In parking areas that are not,
Offsite.
thank you,
I
Jack.
got you.
Thank you. It's regarding allowing off-site parking. So that whether it's a resident who, you know, doesn't have a driveway or has too many people living in their house and they're looking for an extra parking space, or whether it's a business like Barclays that doesn't have a parking lot, this enables both individuals and businesses to negotiate with owners of parking lots throughout town to, on an annual basis, based on their current usage and their requirements on parking spaces, to negotiate renting off-site parking.
All right, thanks for that explanation.
I had one quick question. I did talk to Beth and Chris about this. Jim, I'm sorry, I don't think I had asked you, but I just want to make sure we vet this out. Do you think that we need to amend any other ordinance section to allow off-site parking in all zones? Or do you think
It's
there's
it's an interesting question, Karen. Beth and I did talk about this today. So the issue is that typically ordinances are structured to allow parking as an accessory use. But that accessory use has to be accessory to the principal use on the lot. Now we're allowing someone from an off-site use that's not associated to utilize parking on that site. It's nuance. If we wanted to be ultra safe, the thing to do would be in the districts we want to allow this, but it sounds like, Mayor, that we're going to allow this everywhere in the borough.
I think that came out of the parking committee. The recommendation was, why not?
Yeah. So it would be safe to do that. Is it absolutely necessary? No, because it's up to interpretation. So if we all understand and the zoning officer understands that this is how we're interpreting it, then it's not an issue.
maybe
But you might get that one, you might get that one person that, you know, raises an issue, and, you know, if they challenge something in court, are they correct that it's not permitted? Yeah, technically.
So maybe what we do is, you know, Jim will go through his consistency issue, but when we get to the vote, we could say that, you know, the planning board is of the understanding that this is interpreted to be allowed in all zones. Off-site parking to be allowed in all zones. The recommendation is down the road to make it perfectly clear. You know, the council may want to consider amending it to allow for, you know, amending the specific sections of the zoning ordinance to allow for it, something like that. So at least there's something on the record showing that this is what was understood in case there's ever a question before that happens.
Yeah, and then at the end of your year summary, you could say one of our recommendations is to
Correct.
yep, you know, update the ordinance the next time you take.
Well, it would be more, I think the recommendation wouldn't be to, and we're amending this ordinance, the
No.
recommendation would be the sections of ordinances
what I'm
dealing with
saying.
land use.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
But I think it is important.
Yeah, and you know where this
I'm sorry.
could become an issue is if we change zoning officers in a year. You know, the zoning officer has sole discretion to interpret the ordinance. If he or she interprets it differently and starts enforcing it the way that we didn't intend, that's where we could run into an issue.
And that's his right as zoning officer. He doesn't answer to us, he answers to his own interpretation. So Jim has
Correct.
exactly what I was gonna say, Jim, is that we need to make it clear to John what our intention was. And if he did, we did run this by John though.
I don't think we did. I don't think we did. Beth wrote it. Jay looked at it. Parking committee looked at
We had
it,
a couple of iterations of the parking committee. Yeah.
parking committee, right,
Right,
parking
and when
committee
it
last year
rolled
looked
off
at it.
and on,
The
yeah.
elected officials on the parking committee looked at it, Chris Corsini looked at it.
Maybe we should have John look at it before it's voted on then. Just to make sure that he understands at least what our intention was.
Right, cause one question I have, just as seeing it from like worrying about what could be the problem that could happen if somebody starts to, right, if an entity wants to rent out, if effectively we're letting them rent it out or whatever they wanna do with some people on a regular basis is the idea I'm imagining, to 2 or 3 people or whatever if they have spaces. Now, how do we know, like if somebody's, currently, if they're not parking there related to that business or that entity or whatever the use is, there is some sort of, we can enforce something for the building owner, but if we don't know who they gave these, we're not getting involved in permitting these spaces,
No,
right?
no.
The individual owner of the space is going to do that.
Right.
But how do we, or the zoning or enforcement or anybody identify who that might be? You know what I mean? If somebody's parking there
So-
illegally, how do we differentiate
So-
that? How, what?
so
how
the
can we
way-
work that in?
So we left it as this is a private transaction, and just like if someone were to pull into your driveway, the town doesn't get involved
Mhm.
towing a vehicle that didn't have permission to park there. That's between you and the individual, right? And so the idea was.
It's only fun.
No, but well, this is where we got to was if in the determination of the zoning officer that a retail use had 10 spots in the lot and they only needed 7, so they are permitted to lease out 3 of those. Okay. Then they can do it, they don't have to do it, and it's a private transaction and the town doesn't get involved at all. If at some point the use changes and that retail store becomes a restaurant and the restaurant needs all 10 of those spaces, or a doctor, medical office or whatever, and it changes the number, the zoning officer is empowered to then say,
Right.
hey, property owner, we said you now need all 10 of those spaces, you no longer have permission to
Right.
do this.
So that zoning permit then gets
Right,
terminated, withdrawn, whatever.
And because we originally thought about doing this like an every year registration, and and we realized, talking it through the parking committee, that got really hard and complicated.
And not really
difficult.
necessary.
Not necessarily,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
this was, so it empowers the zoning officer, if there's a change in use, to make that determination, is there excess capacity that could be, it doesn't require anybody to do it, right? And, part of this is, residential parking, you've got extra, you got teenagers all of a sudden have a car, you need a spot to stick it, or it's, the Barclays situation or one of those other retails, situations in the DB zone. There is nothing right now at all that, even if we had, absent this ordinance right now, if there's a parking lot that's not a municipal lot, it's a private parking lot, there is nothing at all whatsoever that the town doesn't have any jurisdiction to enforce.
And I've been
Who's
told,
parking?
I have
Yeah.
been told, I've talked to a couple businesses about this ordinance that are having parking issues, and I've been told this is already happening illegally,
Yeah.
all over town.
Yeah.
All over town.
Yes.
So then this then just protects them with doing that? Or
Protects
protects-
town.
it actually protects the planning board
And
when
zoning, yeah.
when they come, or zoning board, sorry.
Vote.
When an applicant comes here and has to prove that they've got they've got adequate parking, you then have the power to say, okay, prove it. And the zoning officer then has the power to say, you gotta get your rented parking leases, rid of before this
But we
planning board resolution, takes place.
But we don't get involved in that transaction, in that thing at all, so nobody would even know what was set up. I guess my.
Well, you would, because there's a zoning permit, so
Right.
if someone gets an approval from this board. And they're required in connection with their approval to have 5 parking spaces, but their lot can accommodate 10. As long as they can continue to comply with what they're required to do by ordinance and by their approval,
Mm.
they could lease out those 5. They show the zoning officer has a zoning permit, here you go, you got 5 free spaces to do with what you want.
Except we don't require parking spaces for anything anymore. Except for
Which very well may be the case, I'm
offices.
just saying, but
offices we do.
and
so
especially
if-
this is gonna be everywhere.
Well, I mean, if you pick, let me see, like an office building, the Dietz parking lot,
Right.
right? It's all offices.
Yeah.
And it's a huge parking lot. They do have a requirement for parking.
Okay.
Right? Versus, Shaker Cafe, which has no requirement on parking. So, you know, they could effectively, if they wanted to, it's a restaurant, so they're not gonna like rent out all their spots.
Well, that's,
but
and that's the other piece of it, right? So a property owner is not going to
hurt
lease
their
out
businesses.
spots that's gonna hurt their own
Right.
business.
No, and I get that, and I agree
So
in
it's
principle
self-regulated.
with the idea of it, I'm just trying to think of unintended
And a
consequences.
tenant is certainly gonna protect their parking spaces
Right.
if a landlord wanted to rent out, so.
I'm just wanting to make sure, I think that although it's a private transaction between the lot owner effectively and who they rent them to, that there may be, because we are codifying this and allowing it, are we getting that there might be somebody who rents one out, say, and then the owner says, no, you can't do that now, and then there's a thing that then now we get
Right.
wrangled
So-
into.
Well, so let me be clear here.
Mm.
The we that gets wrangled is not the planning board.
Right,
The we that gets wrangled is the borough.
right, sure, and I don't want
theoretically.
that to happen either.
Right, but I mean, that's their problem.
Right,
But
okay.
but like the governing bodies it may have to amend this thing at some point if it became an issue.
Mhm.
Or deal with some of the enforcement questions, but the only place where this intersects with us is. If this board has given an approval, where there's parking was a condition of that requirement. And we have to make sure that that's enforced, or somebody is changing a use. And it either they come before the board because it
Mhm.
requires relief from something, or it's the zoning officer who is making a determination that it's a permitted use, but that there has to be, they need a, like, so that's the only place where it touches us.
And the thing is,
And that's
like this
the
gives like a place like Barclays, legally, they cannot.
Right.
Send anybody to off-site parking except the municipal parking lot.
Right.
Legally,
Mm.
this allows the legal transaction to happen.
It
Where
also allows property owners to, you know, the 100 years of planning law, as, you know, it says that a property owner has the right to make money on their property, right?
well, that's really.
And so this, you know, so this allows
So
a
this
property owner to maybe make a
right.
couple more dollars on their property, which is, you know, good.
So Susan, I want to ask you a question. When you said about checking with John Tillotson and holding this off until he sees it, what would he, like, why? I mean, what
Well,
would you
we just
expect him to change in this?
Because he's the zoning officer, you know, it just occurred, I said it out loud, like, did we actually ask John? We've asked everyone else, but it does touch his office.
No,
Yeah, you know.
It has to go back to you guys.
but my question
Yeah.
is, it's not about the courtesy, because we can give him that courtesy
Yeah.
before it comes to the
No,
council, but
well, because of the interpretation, remember,
that's what I'm asking you. If he says, I don't know what, like,
well, I think I'm trying to remember, it was last year, and I had this conversation with John, and it was about a completely different subject than this, and I'm not gonna remember what the subject specifically was. But he was having, I specifically said, it was from years ago, and I said, I was on planning board at that time, and I remember saying, John, I know what the spirit of that resolution was, and this is what the spirit of it was, and you're just gonna have to take my word for it when it came to regulatory enforcement. So the same thing would hold here is, let's say all of us are gone. John is you know not here either, and there's a new zoning officer, and he looks at this from scratch. Is there anybody going to be saying, you know, as Jim said, zoning officer needs to understand that it is our intention that we're interpreting this, you know, this ordinance this way.
so why can't we put it in the resolution saying that, so it's part of the record?
Possibly that might.
I don't know what we
do
would
that.
tweak in the language to say, this is what we mean. You don't do that in an ordinance.
The other, well, what Kara said is, if what you would do is you would actually amend each one of the zones or the, to say, hey, this is allowed in each zone. That would be the solution to Jim's concern.
What I would suggest we do is, as Kara laid out, put that as a recommendation from this board, that in future revisions to specific set chapters, the zoning ordinances, to make it explicitly clear that this is permitted to satisfy this question of that offsite use of parking which is auxiliary to the principal use in the structure, but we're allowing for it to be like that. And then we leave it like that, because then the planning board has put it out there, it's on the record at the public hearing for the governing body, when you consider it and have your hearing and vote, and then it's clear in the record. And then if somewhere down the road, the zoning officer is not doing it the way that, then council has
To the record.
then I think you should, I mean, you show.
And hopefully it's already done.
But I don't think you need to, I don't think it,
You don't think we need to amend this one?
I don't think there is an amendment in this part, this chapter of the ordinance that solves that problem. I think it has to.
It has to go in this individual zones.
Which we can do later, but for
Yeah.
Oh,
now, I think
So-
it's.
And I think Kara's suggestion originally is how it works.
And the communication of all of this and any of this, and it really, it speaks also, that it's the same situation with any of our resolutions or any of our approvals that we give, need to be communicated to the officers so that they can interpret them correctly. So it just ties into that same communication process effectively.
So basically what I'm hearing is that we release it in whatever tonight, back to the council, and
With that
and
recommendation.
Susan is liaison to zoning, shows this to John Tillotson and also lets him know the intention that all ordinance land use areas in the future are gonna get amended as they come up to have this as an allowed permitted use, so it's no confusion.
Yeah, it
Is that
sounds
what I'm
like
hearing?
it's
Is that what you said?
Essentially,
Essentially,
it's what Kara said.
it's what Kara said.
That's what Kara.
Is this strictly for commercial properties?
No,
No.
no, this is for, if the Union Hotel residents don't have enough parking in their structure, or, if it's too expensive for some of the residents to pay for, or if one of Susan's sons with, her kids and her parking situation, or Melissa, when her kids are start driving, they're like on the edge right now, and like, they can go rent spaces someplace.
Or
On a private residence?
Not in a residence, it's gotta be in a parking lot. Like, I don't think you can go rent a space to somebody, like a high school.
Well, I think that would create a zoning issue, because then it would be considered commercial, right?
Yeah, yes, but
But not if we allow in every zone off-site parking, that's where that's
Right.
important.
Well, that's why we do a
Okay.
zone by zone.
Correct.
So, but 26, and Jim, maybe you can confirm this, but 2629, the part that we're amending, parking number of spaces, that has to do with parking in where there's a parking lot, correct?
Yeah.
Right, it's not talking about private residences, Justin, so like.
Okay.
Even if it's a multifamily structure that has a parking lot, it would, I think, fall under this, if I'm not mistaken. And theoretically, a landlord could, but I don't think that would ever happen, because no one's gonna overbuild the parking lot of an apartment. But
no, but it could be a parking lot in a residential zone, like Ernie Fletcher, the electrician. He's a commercial, 100-year-old business
could
in
be,
a residential
could be
neighborhood.
a church, maybe.
It could be a church would be allowed to do this, yes.
Yeah.
So would we need to expressly, are we saying we should expressly forbid it on residential properties?
No,
Like
because
confusion.
we don't, no, because this is not, because we're not regulating properties, we're regulating zones.
Okay.
And so the problem is, we can't prohibit it in the R1 if we're gonna allow Fletcher or the church to theoretically rent out extra spaces because they exist in those zones, and churches are conforming in residential zones, even if, the electric place may be existing non-conforming.
But if Justin Schlanger wanted to rent part of his driveway during the week to a high school student, he would be allowed to. I
And
mean,
that's, I don't think so, because it's not a parking lot.
It's not-
Oh, right.
It's not happening.
Right.
okay.
Well, what constitutes a parking lot? Is there like a certain number of spaces, or I don't think it's clear what constitutes a parking lot.
Can we just look at something real quick? So, Jim, if we look at, this is just relating to subsection F.
Yeah.
Right, The
Yep.
entirety of 2629 talks about parking in all types of developments.
Mhm.
Except for single family, that's the only thing, It talks about parking spaces starting with 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, well, no, that's single family detached. So when we
Yeah.
go to F, we're taking out that whole first paragraph. So technically,
Well, because we're moving that language down further, it's repeated.
where's that down?
So it's with, I actually raised this question with Beth when we were talking about it at the committee
Okay.
last year. It's duplicative of what's in H.
Okay. But. Yeah, maybe I'm just looking into this too much. I just feel like F could apply anywhere.
So it does apply to single families, like.
I mean, I feel like it could, now whether that was the intention or not, again, I don't know.
It wasn't, I'm gonna do a double negative, it wasn't not the intention. If you look at the, you know.
Substantially not-
It wasn't,
not-
right, if you look at the,
I was still-
you know, the restriction, east of Main Street. About permitted parking only during the day on this street, it was because the Hunter and Central kids were parking on the street and nobody could park in town, including people who wanted to go like. You know, from Bloomfield Avenue to Main Street or Broad Street to Main Street, like the people on William Street and Spring Street, they couldn't find parking spaces at their own homes. So, but, you know, this wouldn't stop somebody from renting a spot to a high school student if they park in their driveway. Which is probably also going on right now.
Well, it's definitely going on, whether they're paying for it or not. I mean,
It's happening.
What, Melissa?
Melissa, your microphone's like really wacky tonight.
I said it is happening. Jeff's right. There are people who rent visitors passes on Broad Street and surrounding areas.
Well, we know that they're renting visitor spaces because Jerry is aware of that, or chief of police, but it's, you know. This would, you know, allow, like I said, it would allow the. When Jerry starts, when we put in this new system that we've got, we have to get new visitor spaces, they are very specific. And that stuff is gonna get cleaned up, so this would allow those homeowners to then rent their driveway if they're so inclined.
I think,
Transactionalize.
Yes.
yeah, I think part
They
of
won't
this
go
is that.
park on the street anymore.
This kind of stuff is happening, and what the ordinance, the goal was to formalize what is happening already and kind of have some way to have a mechanism of enforcement.
And give a lot more opportunity.
And allow anywhere.
Well, I mean, right,
Yeah.
And as we said, as I think Marcia said at the beginning, and the committee said, why not? Like,
Yeah.
what, if it helps somebody make some more money, great. If it
and solves somebody's parking
If it
problem.
solves somebody's problem, if it's not a problem and then nothing happens, then why, it doesn't matter.
But right now, you know, a place like Barclays can't even like legally go talk to somebody else about off-site parking.
So maybe the recommendations are, you know, it's not substantially inconsistent. We're gonna just run it by, you know, recommend that it be ran by John, just to take a look at.
Well, that'll happen before it gets to the council.
Yeah, I don't even know if that needs to get.
Okay. It's the understanding, and I think this should be documented, that the council intends for this to be allowed in all districts, all zones of the borough, and it's recommended that the ordinances be amended, the appropriate ordinances be amended to show that, and leave it at that. So it allows the parking, it puts in that that's the understanding of how it's applied, and then it recommends that we change the actual zones to allow it everywhere.
And if somewhere down the road, sorry.
Churches, there is a loading capacity in church, and it's an assembly use. So there is a parking minimum that they have to meet.
So is that just for Sundays?
No,
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 it's
it's not.
it's an assembly use, so there is a certain amount of people that can assemble in a space by code, and that is then reflected in the parking.
You could have one car with 4 people.
So
That's not-
honestly,
not-
I don't necessarily know if any of our church parking lots could even,
none of them are big enough.
that's my point.
Like,
Is
true.
I don't think that even applies because
Right.
the building code
But the assembly-
restricts the number of.
1 for 3 seats,
Yeah.
our
It's-
requirements are 1
Could I,
Yeah.
for 3 seats.
let me ask
Yeah.
this question, this is, like, just came to me and I don't know what the answer is, but. If there was a big event on Main Street this thing goes through, there's a big event on Main Street. Could the owner of the cut glass property open up his parking lot? That has not been used at all, mow it, clean it up, and then charge people $5 a day to park there for the whole day?
No,
And,
because he's operating a parking business.
okay,
It's not current parking.
That's
lot.
not a,
Okay.
it's not a parking lot.
Okay, okay.
Well,
And there's-
but
and it's
see,
an abandoned
but that's
base.
that though, it's not a
Well-
parking lot, if this is gonna apply to single family residences,
Then
it doesn't have to be a park.
So like, right, what designates, what is a parking spot?
But couldn't he only do that up to how many parking spots is currently allowed on that lot?
he has no zoning, he has no zoning approvals
Oh,
at all, the whole thing is a parking.
No,
lot.
I'm just using that as an
Well,
example.
No, okay, so no, let's talk that through. So if that's, so obviously any of the approvals have long since lapsed on that
Right,
side.
yeah.
So it would be whatever by rights is permitted on that,
by
on those
zoning,
lots by zoning, so that's DB. And has whatever commercial and whatever, so, and so we know the use, you don't have a parking calculation. I don't know how the zoning officer would interpret an abandoned lot.
I would say in that instance, that parking would no longer become an accessory off-site use, it would then become the principal use, which wouldn't be allowed to be denied.
Okay.
I think,
Couldn't
just
let people
thinking
park
off,
there for $5 a day
Well, I mean.
for an event,
you could-
unless you wanna change it and allow that to happen, but.
could solve the problem.
Tara, can this be a source of tax revenue as well?
Not the way it's structured.
Yeah,
No, with the intention was not to nickel and dime people, the intention was to allow property owners to make money,
And-
you know,
yeah.
but not nickel and dime.
And parking lots aren't an improvement, they really don't pay the taxes.
Right,
I don't, unless we have a parking authority, which we're not going to do, there's no way to make money doing this.
So,
It's not
so,
intended for major renting out, it's meant for odd space.
Yeah.
So I guess,
so the real question then is, do we want Justin Schlenger to like rent out his driveway?
right,
If
how
Justin
many,
wants
how
to,
many,
why not?
right,
Okay,
but like, so then the question is, how many cars can he, depending on this?
and enough,
Could you do like, is there a way to?
it's up to him, if he can
well,
come in
have
now.
sizes in here.
No, it's got size, because the zoning
Yes,
officer
sizes, yeah,
is gonna do, if the zoning ordinance determines how many spots he would
that's
need,
only on the street.
that's,
No, but I mean, like if Justin,
So like, if I'm his neighbor and I don't wanna have him rent out his whole entire driveway, so I can see 5 cars there every single day of my life.
would
But this-
Justin rent out 5 spaces when he and his
But
partner
was
have
that-
to come and go? and-
Right, no, but-
Well, we don't have to come and go because we have parking permits to park on the street during school time.
the other thing is if Justin owned 5 cars.
I'm not saying I'm doing that, I'm just
No,
saying.
everything else is on the-
It's not gonna stop him.
Yeah, that's true.
Right,
Nothing to say that.
My next door neighbor is.
nothing is to
Is-
say,
is
it's not,
person that has 3 cars.
Right.
Yes,
Right,
Right, nothing is, what is it, ruling about housing and judges, like, who's gonna tell 8 judges they all
Yeah.
can't live in an apartment together?
But like back on what you were saying with the cut glass, the same thing with like at the old Agway building.
Correct.
That's sitting there, so should verbiage be in there of a operating business?
Well, like you said, if they operate it as that, then
No,
that
I'm just
becomes the
saying that, like,
principal
that
use,
a
therefore
business
it's
is
not
rep-
allowed.
that's a really good point.
Take Global Ag, forget the old ag site, but take Global Ag where there's actually an approved site plan. That hasn't been executed on because they're waiting on DEP approvals, but there's an approved site plan for the Global Ag site.
Hmm.
There is a paved parking lot, but
Yeah,
there's,
and
but
there's
there's.
painted
And
spots.
painted spots, like there is actually parking infrastructure on the Global Ag site. Theoretically, they haven't abandoned the prior use.
Right.
There is a parking lot, they could, under this ordinance, I think, could rent out spots there.
But couldn't they
But only in excess-
out
only in
in
excess of what they
excess
need.
of what they need?
correct. Yeah,
Which
is a
their
little- they have
agreement
an
is for
approval.
more because they were gonna put.
But
more
what they
space
need for the commercial business that's still sitting there, or what they need for 100 apartments?
For their approval.
For with the approval.
Right, so the approval, I mean, I don't know if there was
Yeah, I
that much
talked this through,
extra.
Beth and I had talked through this and that, you know, what are they gonna look at, and that'll be one of the things that they look at. But does that,
But they wouldn't be able to do it because that lot wouldn't cover
correct,
enough for 100 apartments. They
But
would
then
be able
what
to.
I don't know.
well, so then would somebody coming in say, but I want, so I know I don't need that many spaces, but I do wanna rent those spaces out when we try to convince them to take away spaces.
And we could.
Oh, you mean like if they're in front of the
So
board?
if they're in front of the board.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we want them to add more green space, but they're saying, no, I want to rent my space.
But this is part of an application approval versus what, you know, they end up
Okay,
with.
right.
So-
Right.
so-
Would that be a conversation someone could have?
They
or-
could try.
Right.
They could try it,
They
it
could
was
try
better.
it,
But they want your vote for.
This is about.
Right.
But it's,
It's like-
But what if we turn them down, say, no, we don't want you to keep the lot, and
If
then
it's
they.
as of right.
Complain that they
It's,
say.
and this is it's the as of right question. So let's say that they are, if they have met all of our landscaping requirements in terms of buffers, they are not seeking relief for
Anything.
impervious coverage, right? They are by rights application. There's no variances in terms of use or parking standard, and they say,
And then I say, like I always do,
hey, I want more green.
Right.
I want more green.
They can say no.
They can say no,
And there's not much I can do about it.
Correct.
as long as they're not.
And
Asking
how many parcels in this town with all our weird shape?
Correct.
You know.
Probably none.
None, you know, like how.
Might be some over in highway
we're-
retail.
Yeah, we're not like
Right.
perfectly square new urbanism community, we're 350
And all
year old,
those-
you know.
Those parking lots are very old and very, very hot.
The odds of them have that
So-
happening are slim to none.
But it's a good question.
But if they are asking
Trying
for
to chop
relief,
it fit.
and then it comes
No.
up as a question, would that be an issue? That we say, no, we don't want you to reduce the size of the parking lot, and he wants to keep them, and we deny them, because we want,
Then one,
then would they be able
If someone's,
to?
if someone's here for site plan and they don't seek any variance relief, and we deny site plan approval for by rights application,
No, I'm not.
we're gonna get sued.
No, I'm
but if somebody comes in and
variance.
wants 20, like we say, you know, they need 20 and they've got 40, and they're looking because they've got too much impervious coverage, and we want them to reduce it, and they're like, but we wanna rent these out. We're gonna be like, too bad,
Too bad.
you have too much impervious coverage,
We're not gonna get the.
we're hot.
Mhm.
Correct.
That's
Now-
it, period.
Now, again, this is a very difficult question, I think, to answer because the reason has to be related to the relief. In the
Right.
impervious coverage situation, yes, you want an impervious coverage variance, no, you gotta remove the parking.
Hmm.
If they want a height variance
Mhm.
and we're saying, no, we want you to reduce the parking, well, then you
They
gotta,
don't
it's
match,
a case by
right.
case.
Yeah.
I think we gotta.
But everything where we've done that, which like Bank of America, which was Rite Aid,
Mhm.
Bless Wellness, it's been because they've got too much impervious
Yeah.
coverage.
Agreed.
So, and we actually did it the first Bless Wellness site too, I think. Right? Same place, same thing, with the
And
tree they
then
wanted to take down.
Just one, that it's spelled out like for motor vehicles, so if I wanna rent a spot from in back of Matt's Red Rooster, and I wanna park my boat there. So I'm renting a spot, but I'm now gonna park a boat there or a motor home. Is it like?
I think,
Would do something different though, right?
but I
Well,
think,
camper.
Camper.
I think as long as it fits in the spot, right?
Can we say? Just like if your neighbor
No, I'm
had a
just, cause I,
boat,
cause
that
then,
complained about that,
then
yeah.
it's like, oh, this guy's now letting,
rented out as like a boatyard.
yeah, like if it's spelled, I don't know. if
Well, that's it, that's
Needs
it.
to go for like, for a motor vehicle, not that somebody rents a spot and I'm gonna put a shipping box, a pod box or something there.
Well, or a dumpster.
Should be limited to passenger cars, right?
Well, the dumpsters are regulated
Only on the,
on the public
Road.
right of way.
yeah, but if somebody wants to put one in a spot.
In a parking space?
Yeah, I don't know, we're just trying to think of all these weird.
If it's a
unintended things that
private
might happen.
driveway, they are allowed
That's
to
a
do
good
that.
Okay.
If it is a parking lot that's a private parking lot, I don't know if we
I-
prohibit that or
As
not.
long as it's not like a health and safety issue.
Right,
Right.
Like they can't put a,
and we don't prohibit it with boats, and we don't prohibit it with RVs.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's
I think
routinely an
someone
RV
could
that
do
parks in the
it.
municipal parking lot periodically,
Mhm.
or a day or two or three.
no, but it's not crazy if someone wanted to winter their boat in a lot, someone. had-
Well, now you've got recreational vehicle storage separately dealt with here. Following requirements apply to recreational vehicle storage. I don't know if this is in all zones, but I'm assuming it probably is. Has to be inside. Trailers, boats, or boat trailers with 21 feet or more in length, parked or stored inside buildings only.
So we do.
Trailers, boats, trailers stored
I
inside
just,
Even
side
on
rear
private
yard
property?
areas. I'm picking this really quickly, but.
Okay, cause you got RVs and trailers and boats all over the place in this town that are in buildings.
At no time shall any recreational vehicle parked or stored on any lot be used for living or housekeeping purposes, okay? Each occupied single-family residential property may have outside parking or storage upon it for 2 recreational vehicles or trailers.
Okay.
In safe and effective operating condition. Current state license. Can't exceed 40 feet, so I mean, you've got some
There's
guidelines.
Okay. I just didn't want somebody to.
No, yeah,
No, that's
exactly.
good question.
But this doesn't limit it.
Intended things that may
Right.
pop up, because that's where it's gonna cause a connection.
So question, you said that if somebody wants to do this, they still need a permit to do it. Did I understand that correctly?
No.
Yes.
Well,
Well, don't they, well, they need to go to the zoning,
To make sure they have access, to verify they have access.
right, isn't this,
Yeah.
isn't the intention of this just to like have everything documented?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
So Barclays approaches Newmarket, 10 spaces. They want them signed for Barclay customer use only.
Right.
Newmarket comes here, verifies they've got more than enough, that's where Market Roost is.
Yep.
More than enough parking, and they get some kind of form permit from our zoning officer. And now they've got it documented, and he's got it documented that they're gonna be renting out 10 spots.
So what's the enforcement mechanism if they don't do everything you just described?
So there's no enforcement on, you mean if they just run them out without coming here
Right.
first?
It'd be a zoning violation.
It would be- Thank you, Jim.
There we go.
and under the prior ordinance, they can actually enforce.
Right,
that.
yeah.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Okay, anybody else have any things that pop up in their head?
The only other question I had was about the recommendations. So this is more for me to try to understand. If we send it back with recommendations for a later date for those ordinances to be updated for the individual zones, what references back to that recommendation? Like how do we
Hope,
ensure that happens?
hopefully somebody's gonna remember,
And that's kind of my question.
whether it's somebody in here or somebody at the council.
Right, and that's what I'm
Somebody's
saying.
gonna remember.
Part of the procedure is that when we send it back to council as part of their deliberation, they're supposed to address, at least as part of the public hearing, the stuff that we put in there in that report.
But there's no like checklist or something in a process that when somebody goes to review something, they look at all the previous recommendations or anything like that.
I don't know, Jim, do you like keep something like that? Or Kara, do you keep something like that? Kara's giving.
Well, we have the mayor and council president on our planning board, so I think, and look, the planning board can prepare ordinances and forward them to council for consideration. So the board could do that, or if the mayor or council president say, hey, by the way, the planning board's recommending, let's go ahead and either have them do this or, whatever the case may be.
So are you recommending that we think about addressing this immediately or sooner rather than later to get the rest of the administrative code codified with this included into it, changing all the zones?
I mean, it may not be, sorry, Jim, but I just happen to be on this section. You've got section 2627 that says standards applicable to all districts. I mean, you might be able to put something in there with regard to it. It's one shot, you're not changing every single section, but you could put something, in there.
Yeah, Kara, I like that because in this section, we address community shelters and family daycares, uses that are permitted under the municipal land use law in all, either residential or non-residential districts. So we could just add, rather than going through each individual zone district, just put a general standard. It's a one-line amendment to the code and add it here.
Would that be a recommendation in this consistency report? That this one line be added to the code?
I think so, yeah, but it won't affect this ordinance because this ordinance is a different section. So we're not recommending any changes to this. We're saying,
recommending it that in conjunction with this line be added in the future at the earliest available time to the code.
Yep.
Okay.
It seems to be best to strike while the iron's hot and get it all tidied up, and then it makes it easiest for enforcement.
is there any form of grace period then, once this gets adopted though, for people to then be like, okay, you got it, like,
Well, they won't know until, you know, it
Right,
either gets sent out by, you know, in the newsletter
Yeah, yeah.
or, you know, the tap guy
Yeah.
writes something, or the bid sends something out to all the
Right.
businesses that this is now
Post it on
happening.
website.
Yeah.
It's on the website that this is
Yeah.
allowed, so there is a grace period
That-
because
yeah.
you just have to
Right,
get
right.
publicized.
Maybe one,
curious.
one follow-up question I have then, when we talk about the residential, that also has to get a zoning permit?
Mhm.
Okay.
Alright, so I think we've got some good recommendations pulled together there, Carol. Should we, do we have we need a
Motion in a second.
motion to, deem it not substantially inconsistent, is that the right wording? With the
Not
recommendation,
not inconsistent.
not inconsistent, sorry,
Correct.
not
It's all right.
Not substantially inconsistent.
no, he told me to take the word substantially out, not.
No, yeah, not substantially, just not inconsistent. You're mixing up your variance criteria there, Kara.
I'm sorry, we've read that one so many times. Not inconsistent, yeah. And with the recommendations, do you wanna go through them, Cara, or we've already kind of gone through, we just went through them?
Yeah, I think it's just that one. We'll
Perfect.
just put it in that section.
Okay, so can I get a motion then for that thing? Anybody feel comfortable?
Move.
I'll second.
Nice, it's the team today, we don't know what it's missing.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Council Vice Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Giffen,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Ms. Ringel,
Yes,
Mr. Show,
Yes.
Mr. Slinger,
Yes.
and Mr. Dawson.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Alright, item 12, consistency review, ordinance 2026-04, development fee ordinance. Sorry, I couldn't print it out, can somebody go over what this one is?
Yes. So this one's pretty simple. So these next two are related to our affordable housing compliance plan. State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, after we had already prepared our housing plan, amended the uniform housing affordability controls as well as created what are called the affordable housing rules that are codified at NJAC 5:99. Those were adopted on December 15th, 2025. So the development fee ordinance and the affordable housing ordinance amendments are to bring those ordinances into conformance with the regulations promulgated by the Department of Community Affairs.
Okay.
So pretty straightforward. These came out of model ordinances that were prepared by the Affordable Housing Professionals of New Jersey. So they went through UHAC and 5:99 and put it into an ordinance form. And now all the planners are essentially using the same form because we want to have consistency across all the statewide.
Mhm.
So the development fee ordinance just specifies when we're going to collect a fee, how we're going to collect the development fee, what the development fee can be used for, things of that nature.
Okay. And does it correlate with any other of our ordinances that we need
It
to?
replaces,
Okay.
it was easier and cheaper to throw out the old ordinances and replace them with these.
Mhm.
So that is what these two ordinances do that, so it
Right.
gets rid of whole sections and replaces them with these.
And Jim, the reason why it's coming here for consistency is because it has to do with our housing element.
No, it's in the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
But that's it.
Yeah, I got you.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm saying that, but the development fee part is, I think, hold on, what section is it? 2632. Oh yeah, they're both in the zoning. Are
But we're-
reviewing it, but it is talked about. I'm sorry, go.
No, my question is, we are determining that this is consistent with what? Because it's consistent with the housing element of our comp plan, because it's not in the land use element, right? I mean.
Yeah, but I think in this case, yes, these
That's all
things
right.
are discussed in the housing plan. And then this is, is there any provision of this particular ordinance that is inconsistent with the master plan? And I think the answer is no, because this is discussed in the housing plan element and fair share plan, which is an element of the master plan. And, this is essentially a requirement that was included in all mediation agreements with Fair Share Housing Center, that these regulations at the local level had to be updated once the regs were finalized at the state level.
So this is right, just to make sure that we're all in line with Steve.
Yeah, it's tidying things up, right?
Which would be in line with.
More work for us.
Okay.
Yay. All right, so that being said, does anybody have any other question? I mean, I don't. Any other questions or concerns on it before we vote on that these are not inconsistent with our master?
Jim, you think we could do these both together?
Yeah, they're related. They're all out of the affordable housing regs. So
Okay.
All right, so no recommendations, finding that they're substantially consistent. I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
It was not
That's
Melissa.
Somebody wants to do this.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Council Vice Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Giffen,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Ms. Bingle,
Yes.
Mr. Show,
Yes.
Langer,
Yes.
and Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
Okay, that was for both items 12 and 13, ordinance 2026-04 and 05.
Thank you. All right, that skips us on to item 14. The completeness determination for West Allen LLC, which is actually application 2026-01. Thanks to our engineer's wonderful report, the applicant is resubmitted. So we have to wait for them to resubmit. We don't have a date when that might come, and when it does, I'll let you know.
Yep, I do want a motion in a second to deem the application incomplete based upon.
Motion.
Second.
So we stop the clock, right?
Mayor and, yep, Josh. Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Council Vice Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Giffen,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Mr. Show,
Yes.
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
and Mr. Josh.
Yes.
All right, item 15 was the public hearing for Spark Car Wash application 2025-02. Says adjourned, we got a letter from applicant that they want to adjourn to the March 10th meeting. And they've given us until the end, did I read it right, end of March or end of April?
I don't
They
recall,
wrote something in there, but
I don't recall, I have to go back and check. I did get a text from the attorney earlier today. Just confirming that we got that letter. They are submitting new plans. So
Which will have
what
to
they
come in.
are, I don't
Thanks,
know.
honey.
dependent on when they come in even, they're asking for March 10th, it will
Absolutely.
depend on their submission.
Correct, so we'll do the adjournment to March 10th. This is for public hearing on Spark Car Wash, application 2025-02, block 49, lot 6. Adjourned to March 10th without further notice, and we will await the resubmission, and see what the time is.
Like, if they don't get the plans in like by next week, then
Yeah.
we're starting to push it, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm making the point, like, they're asking for March 10th, but it's reliant on what they submit. That's on them. So we'll see, I'm just letting you know. That's great. Makes this meeting a little quicker than it. All right, chair items I'm gonna add on, the housing element / master plan subcommittee. Here's what I'd like to do, we want to start that subcommittee up to cover the housing element items that we've previously discussed, and it can start work. I'd like, Dennis Show, please, still be on, and the mayor. I was gonna ask, Mr. Schlanger to go on that committee.
Yes,
And
please.
I'm gonna ask, Mr. Dutchner, go on for me.
Okay.
Would you be okay to do that?
Sure.
With your experience, that and what makes that. So if that subcommittee can, pull together, and obviously, Mr. McManus will be involved in that one.
I would just ask Jim, can you circulate these to the four of us, please?
I'm sorry, say that again, Mayor?
Circulate dates to the four of us that are good for you,
Sure.
Get the process moving.
and you might wanna, like, I've got, the Dennis generally has the most constraints on time.
Hmm.
So.
Okay.
Still on the Texas time.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We'll look forward to hearing what you're doing. The next one is, I moved this out of an agenda item just because we pulled it together, but I wanted the board to talk about it, and we'll bring it forward next meeting if we agree. So, as well as having our conflict attorney, we talked at one of the meetings about, having a conflict planner and engineer, and we found that this was the company that we appointed previously, Remington and Vernick, right?
Correct.
So
Yep, I found it, this is back in 2023.
Right.
We had a resolution. That individual that's appointed in that resolution is still there.
Mm-hmm.
I have not reached out to anyone yet. Wanted to talk to you guys first, but assuming that you're on board, we could certainly do that.
They're the municipal engineers, so.
Right.
And they're great.
Right.
Okay.
So I think, if we'll agree, we'll ask Cara to reach out, see if they're interested, and then we can bring that up at the next thing for the resolution to see. I mean, hopefully you don't need them. We've had this scrambling before. I think it's better that I get it ahead of time, get it scheduled out,
100%.
so we know where we're going with that. All right, thank you.
Are we gonna talk about the bylaws at all?
Oh, do you know? I thought the bylaws, I thought we've got them out again.
Didn't
I missed
They
it.
were
They were
circulated,
circulated, yeah.
it's not on the agenda.
I don't know why I missed it on the agenda. I apologize.
It was
It's been
on-
a very cold period.
It's on one.
I thought I put it on, and I'm sorry that it's not on that. We certainly can talk about it now. I'm happy to bring it up as chair items. Those were circulated.
Amend the agenda.
Vice Chair, I don't know.
Oh, it's carried on.
Just discuss it,
Okay.
because we're not voting on it.
Oh, okay.
We didn't put it on the agenda, but we can vote on it next meeting, but we can certainly have a discussion, because
Yeah,
we've got a
sure.
chance while we've got nothing else going on.
I don't.
Anybody have any
I have-
comments
I have
on what we're
two com-
submitting?
Yeah, I have two comments. One is the removal of the mayor and council comments and making it something else. I think that's silly. Sorry, whoever did that on the bylaws committee. Just leave it the way it was. And the other comment, that's my comment, so you guys can all say, no, you're wrong, but that's okay. The other one is under Article 5, Section 1, meeting procedures. It currently says the board shall not, this is about moving the meetings to close at 10 o'clock. And it says the board shall not commence any new matter after 9:30. I would like that to include, the board shall not commence any new matter or begin any new testimony after 9:30. So.
I guess you mean it as a new
Witness.
witness.
Exactly,
Because the testimony would continue.
Right,
Like,
any
but
new-
if it's a
yes.
new.
but I could be in the same matter and then I can just hear like George Malone saying, oh, just let me finish my,
Yeah.
I'm in the matter, it's the same matter. So,
Right.
so I'd like to see it, because that's the way Raritan Township operates. They don't allow any new
New
witnesses to start after 9:30 at night.
I think that's what we'd have to add it in as new witnesses in giving testimony.
Yes,
In a public hearing only, or in anything else? In a
anything,
public-
they
in a-
just don't allow it,
the
yeah.
New witness.
So, yeah, so
testimony
so-
to
not allow any new matter or any new
that
witness testimony beginning after 9:30.
Right, no, I think, yeah, because that then gives us some teeth in terms of, suggesting that we
Right.
wrap
And
up.
if they've got
Because otherwise
one-
we
right.
start, we know when we start
Right.
testimony, it takes longer than half hour to get to that
Yes.
point for sure.
So my only,
Mm,
my concern on this one, and I understand the motivation and I don't want to stay up late, I'm not,
mm,
is, and I don't disagree with the suggestion that Marcia's making about clarifying that language. My concern, and I may get outvoted here and that's fine, my concern is that if we chop the hour off that we're proposing to do here, and we only meet twice a month, my concern could be that a complex application, we like to talk on this board, we like to ask lots of questions in a good way. My concern is that we're gonna have applications that are just, because we only meet twice a month, and other jurisdictions meet more often that have separate zoning and land use boards.
Your combined board.
We're a combined board, I'm worried that it's gonna be more hearings to get through a particular application.
But we can always, we have the right to change.
Correct, and I'm pretty sure there's language in there that says.
I think there
At the
is.
discretion.
So like,
Wait, no, because it says the curfew hour may be extended by the chair purpose for the purpose of executive session. It has nothing, it
we
doesn't.
can change that.
Well, so then if we can change that.
We
if
can add that, cause like if
Right.
they get through, if we get through a whole hearing and it's 9:30 and they've got like one person left who's their planner and planners never
Yeah.
wrap up and they never take that long.
Yeah.
And we just wanna get it over with. I think
Okay,
we have
so
the right position.
As long as there is some, if we can make that change, I'd feel more comfortable. I would hate for us to be in a position where we were stacking up subsequent applications where we're like, oh, this is going longer than we thought, and so someone's paying to have their professional sitting here
Right,
longer.
but I'm thinking like
Yeah.
George Valone trying to reach his LSRP on our time,
Right, right.
right? And this thing
Yes.
is dragging out
Yes.
and he's, you know, telling his professionals what to say and what not to say, and the testimony is going on forever because of the way he's in it. Look at the look on Kara's face. You guys cannot appreciate this on screen. But that's what, like, you know, like, that's just so unfair to us. It's so unfair.
That, I don't disagree with that at all. I'm there, and I'm the guy who like ran a meeting till 1 a.m. I understand that I'm culpable.
Oh, yeah.
Side, we have said to applicants, this is not being presented in a way that we can handle it at 8:30 and say, go back and
Right.
fix the plan, fix your whatever and come back to us. So
But
this
this
has a
is,
lot of discretion.
and this is the idea behind this, is to give the chair more teeth in being able to say to applicants, we are stopping and closing it down.
Or ask
And I
the
think-
board, are you, do you wanna hear it?
You can
till
vote.
it's over?
That's the
You
point
can
I was
vote.
gonna make, we
Right.
still have the flexibility always to say, are we comfortable with go, and we do, you've said it, and then all the chairs have said it.
Right, we think, hey, are we ready to, can we keep going? Are you okay?
That's.
But I think when they know we're stopping at 9:30, they're gonna come in better prepared.
Maybe, hopefully, that's the intention. But also, but also to Jeff's point, I think as well, when we know there's a big one coming up, everybody, maybe we have the discussion in chairman's and it's like, look,
Yeah.
a big one's coming up. Be prepared to stay later. What is our general feel? Are we going to suggest go later, or are we going to notice for an extra meeting if we really think it might, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could have that discussion ahead of time now. But I think the main aim of this is to give it more teeth in terms of be really clear to applicants and everybody that we are not going all night with these things. You need to either go give us the Cliff Notes version of what you want to say, so that we can come to a determination, or think about
Use your time wisely.
Yeah.
That's-
An hour,
That's,
everybody's
again,
time.
as long as there is a mechanism for us to give us the ability to extend more than just for an executive session.
Mhm.
And that we are understanding that I really was just worried about workflow, since we're only meeting twice a month, and I hate. You know, I want us, we try generally to work with applicants to get something, we try to get towards approval in most cases, and that does take time, and
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it does help them. Be more judicious with them, so that was one thing I just wanted
Sure.
to point out. The other thing, and this is minor, because I know the bylaws have been worked on for a while, is that. Section 31, publication of resolution on page 15. We may need to tweak that language based on the new law of notice, because it says. The notice published in the official newspaper of the municipality.
Yeah,
And
and these were done before
The new law.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
Fix that.
flag that, make
Yep.
sure we caught that.
Yep.
Those were the two things that was.
Thank you.
yeah. And if anybody has any further things, get them in within a week. So that a version amended from what we just discussed now can be sent out in enough time for us to put it on the agenda to vote next meeting. Fair enough?
Yes.
Please get any.
You're gonna tweak that language to add the flexibility factor, because that's definitely my intention.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know,
It's like
and
we
you
got
know, please,
power.
listen, these are bylaws that are not ordinances, are not statutes, and they are there to help guide the board and help the public understand how things are done. You always have that discretion. You can make a vote at any point in time to do whatever it is that you want to do. So, you know, provided it doesn't violate some other law. So,
Right,
you know.
Right.
But in the interest again of, you know, transparency, letting everybody know how we're operating and having some guidelines, which I think is important.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's get it how you want it.
But let me go back to the limits, Jeff. Starting a new matter after 9:30.
Yeah, no, I don't wanna start, I don't
Okay.
like, I know, it's not.
I just wanna
yeah,
make
I'm
that clear,
there, I'm
okay,
there. No,
so
I'm there.
just for Kara's amending this. The no new matters will be started after 9:30 is a period, and there, new testimony from a continuing matter. Will be allowed after 9:30 at the discretion of the planning board, something like that,
Something, I mean,
something
again,
like that.
yeah, and the sentence that follows says that the rules can be spent only to go to executive session. I think in that second sentence, we can.
Could it be
Tweak it that way.
executive session or other matters at the discretion of the chair, something like that?
I wanna have a paragraph in there that gives you the discretion to do whatever you want, whenever you.
Yeah, so that's.
Right, there we go.
So then that way, it's up to
Right.
you, it's up to the rest of the board, so
Except-
if something's not fully clear.
Jeff will never be allowed to have a meeting until 1 o'clock.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why, that was my fun drive home.
It was our
I didn't want to
first
talk
meeting.
after that meeting.
Not for
I was
nothing,
like-
it was our first meeting back after being remote for so long. I think I was just high on being with everybody.
Oh,
So
no, I agree.
It was
It was a love fest, good one, Jeff. Excuse.
But yeah, that should not have happened. I mean, like.
When it got to be in tomorrow, it was too late.
Look, and the other piece of this is that, and we had this, like, we try to be smart about scheduling hearings, knowing, hey, this is gonna be a complex application, this is gonna be a straightforward application. I think we're usually good about that. And we're usually pretty good about telling applicants, hey, you want that date, but just so you know, such and such is continuing, they're gonna have X, Y, and Z happening. I mean, that's I just wanna make sure that we don't wanna find ourselves in a spot where applications are stacking up and we're getting a bit of a log jam
Well, then-
because we don't have enough meeting time.
And I think
But
in
it
that
is-
case is
yeah.
when we say, do we need to add in a new meeting or are
And
we
we
gonna
could
go?
always- we could
And
always
that's
do
when we
that.
need to have a discussion. I absolutely agree. We don't wanna get things stack up. We've got timelines, we've got all sorts of things we've got to make sure regulatory wise that we cover. Don't want that. If it ever comes to that, then we'll have to rethink this.
Yeah.
If it comes to that.
And you're already
consequence-
much more cognizant and concerned
Yeah.
about this than I would say 90% of the boards in the state. So I think you're.
We're just trying to look after our own mental health.
Yes. We've done a decent job with this. We've definitely in the last 3 years have had meetings where there hasn't been any items on the agenda, so we canceled. So it's not like it's not like we have a problem right now
But
of
then
too much. I'm just worried like.
we did have a point last year where we had somewhere there were applicants waiting to
Yeah,
start another
yes.
planning, and I had to
Right,
kind
that
of
was what's
subtly
on that.
suggest to them that we weren't gonna get started without
Right.
telling them they weren't gonna
But
get
they
started.
insisted in coming.
Yeah, and I always try to say,
Yeah.
don't sit around all day, this is not, but I
Right.
can't actually tell them to
Right.
go away.
What ends up happening is.
But
Right,
this
but
new
that-
timing will help that.
I hope so, because what the worst thing that happens is that, you know, this application cost me so much money because this board didn't have its act together, da 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 da. And then we get the reputation of being a difficult board.
That's not the intention. All of this is meant to also make it simpler and more clear of exactly what applicants are going to expect.
Yeah.
And I think in that situation where we have two public hearings stacked, then we have to have the conversation because we will never get through two by 9:30, right? So we'd have to
In
have a
2
conversation as a board.
In
We'd have to
2 hours we're not gonna get through a complex site plan in 2 hours. It's just
We
not
have
gonna
to,
happen.
we have to, and then.
There's too much in the MLU that we have to put on the record. It's not even our.
Exactly. So that's an understanding. I think it's just with the intention that we're getting this out there to our applicants who are regulars and they know that this is the way we're respecting you all as volunteers and all our time. That's the intention going forward and hopefully the message will get through.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Since you're under chair items, just since
Yeah.
you're talking about your setting up the agendas and stuff like
Right.
that. Since there's like, we get emails and I know HPC does an update on different stuff, but like where we have sign committee reviews stuff,
Hmm.
should something be said with the rest of the board because not everybody's
When
on
we
that?
went through that. Point.
Just
Like,
to
can we
say-
report like HPC does, you mean?
Well, just to
this
say, hey,
one?
we got one for attachments for a new sign. or something.
We used to do that, we used to have little sign updates.
Yeah,
Like,
so yeah.
It's
it's a good
part of-
one.
That's me, I'm
It was a long time
I
ago.
think Todd would
When
be
we
the
first-
when Todd was first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, but just kind of give a summary.
It's a good reminder to put it in, whether we do it as a full, I think maybe we should add them in as a formal section then.
Or
Just to- because they are officially, they have a full purpose on the planning board, right?
I don't know if it needs a, like a.
Most of the time when nothing, it'd be a quick skip over.
Yeah.
Just a reminder.
so we don't.
After HPC?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Or do you want it to just be, do you wanna just do an email? link?
See, that's where I was thinking.
Just being like,
Like-
whenever we approve
Just
it.
get copied on the approval each time?
Well, cause it goes to the, the committee, so the committee, each person says, yes, it's
Right.
approved, then Maureen says,
We said,
yeah,
you
it's
said our
done.
approval to Maureen and then she
And then
then
it's
follows on. with the
Done,
rest of
but
the
just
procedure.
as the board, since it does come before us, that,
Oh, it
say
is.
Jeff's not on the sign committee.
You could send it to copy Caitlin on it and have her distribute it to the board.
And each approval.
Just like the HPC approval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like HPC, right, just.
And
We'll
what
add
we're
that
talking
in.
about. That's a good
That's a
idea.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
Okay, I just wanna say Jeff and I believe Mark too, probably Marcia. You remember when we used to actually review every
Oh, God,
sign?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we had some long
Oh, my
meetings just
God.
about
Yeah.
signs. Be thankful, be very thankful and give your sign committee Christmas cookies every year, be
I
thankful.
know, it's a process, but I just figured just
No, it's good.
Right.
an update.
And others.
Yeah, we've had one already.
Yes.
The agenda is being amended to include the environmental commission, which is statutory, and they should have a position. That's in there
Yeah.
on the agenda. And now we're adding the sign committee on the agenda.
No, we're not adding.
No, I would-
We're not adding it.
No,
Let's say we-
that wasn't what I heard, but if you guys
Just-
want to,
just
you
No,
can.
they're just CCing the.
Oh,
the-
okay. All
You
right.
see the board when
Understood.
it's approved. So when we send our final approval, we'll send that to Caitlin also, the secretary, who will then distribute.
Does anybody on the bylaws committee want to refute my feeling that the mayor and council should just stay on the agenda and not be some kind of governance, figure out some kind of name as the current bylaw thing? I mean, is there a reason to do that?
All we did, kind of just give it an overall title. It's still on the agenda. We just gave it its own section and a title. That's all. So it has its own priority versus just being like a subsection. We tried to give you guys some priority, but hey, we can take it back. You can be just boring like the rest of us.
Well, no, mayor and council already have a priority on the agenda.
Well, no, they're technically after they're all the way down. We
Yeah.
moved them. They're down E and
Or
G.
or remove them. I'm just saying to leave it the way it was.
No, I think the difference is that in the bylaws, it's not how we've been running it for the last.
Yeah, so let's look at the list of agenda items and priorities in the bylaws versus what we do. I mean, that's,
Okay.
I'll take a look.
Got
I
it.
think so.
Okay, I get it, Melissa. I understand.
So she's
Okay.
having a inconsistency
And
there.
then we have
Got
another
it,
look with
got
the
it.
next week,
Yes, understood.
see,
Smart.
because that's the way it's gonna go forward. Thank you, Mark, for having the SRC idea in that. I love this timing, so I'm gonna say, let's move on to item 17 of the bills, auditing the bills.
Were there any?
I don't think
Yes,
there
there
were.
Yeah.
She didn't leave me with a packet, she usually does.
There was one that was.
She sent a whole agenda packet.
I saw that.
It was the
but then
very
I
last
must-
one.
I
There was
was,
so many items.
I don't think I scrolled all the way down, I must have
Yeah,
missed
no,
it.
it's in there, so
Oh.
let me,
One of them is super long, I mean,
We didn't know which one it was.
I don't know, I'm used to, POs that are about like
Well,
shoes and jackets, so I was like.
Okay.
well, the last one's one page, I don't think it was the last one.
No,
I
it was
know, I
in
missed-
between,
I
there's
missed
a
the
lot of,
attachment.
there's a lot of words.
A lot of words.
That is, yeah.
Give me words. There's a lot, I was trying to read it, it was hard to find it,
Oh.
I don't.
Okay, here's. Yeah,
What is this? Oh, is this the,
Savo, Schlock, Corsini, Warner, Gillespie, this is Chris Corsini.
There's a lot, there was like council stuff in there.
Yeah, there's some council stuff in here.
It was just like.
There's
a lot
bills from
of-
Chris Corsini in here.
Uh-huh.
And there's there's several bills from Chris Corsini in here.
There's
Which-
something in there for like a tax appeal.
There was
somewhere.
like, but like, because it was about
Is there anything for planning board, or did she just
There,
put the
there was a
council
couple,
bills?
no, because Nova.
There were some?
Nova was.
That's
in there.
Remington Burners.
So I don't-
And there's an RVE bill for Liberty Village about observing stuff on site for storm pipes. That's not planning board.
No, that should be coming out of their.
I'm just wondering if she attached the wrong.
Maybe, because it was just, I
So
was like,
perhaps
Oh.
could
Can we table?
we table this and
Yeah.
The next
for,
meeting?
yeah.
For confirmation.
Okay.
Alright,
yeah, there was one, I was like, you have conversations, I can't focus.
thank you. Alright, well, move on to item 18, executive session. Do we ever need to go into executive session? Awesome, awesome. So, 19, we have a motion to adjourn at 8:31.
So moved.
Yes.
Mayor.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Night.
Right, stop recording.
Start renting out your parking lot.
Yeah.
Stop